Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Earlier today I uploaded a video that showed how to blend with various markers. And I got a comment on the video that one of the ladies used Bic markers and she couldn't get them to blend very well. So I thought, well, let me do a video using just Bics and Sharpies to kind of give you some tricks on how to blend with these cheaper markers. You can get Bic Mark-It or Sharpie markers at your Walmart or Staples or any art supply store, but they're very inexpensive, about $1 a piece. Sometimes they go on sale for like 67 cents. I think I just saw them at EC Moore for 67 cents. So they're very inexpensive markers, and once they're dry you just replace them with a new marker. Or you can buy kits of like 36 colors in the case of the Bic Mark-Its for under $20. So they're very affordable, and they make a great introduction to using markers. So here I've used these two purples to do the violets, and I've used these three greens to do the leaves on this one right here. And on the daffodils I have used these two yellows, and I have used these two greens. So here I have a combination of 7 markers that I've used to color both of these tags. So let's just learn some tricks here. Now, with these markers, they're a lot darker than what you would buy. You can buy really light shades in like Promarkers and Copics and Prismacolors and, you know, your art markers. And what I recommend for the beginner is to buy a big set of like your Bic Mark-Its, and then go to your art supply store and buy a couple really, really light shades of your art markers. Like, you know, a clear blender. Like this is a Promarker clear blender. And you can lighten up any color with this. You can erase boo-boos with this. It's really handy. You can get very, very light shades of pink, purple, green. They'll really make your work look more professional, even if everything else you do is with the cheap ones. So let me show you how I approach this violet here. And you can put this the video in full screen so you can get a little more detail. But I'm going to show you 2 different ways. The first way is how I'd normally do it with like my Copics or my Promarkers. I'd start with the dark, then I'd go all over it with the middle value. And of course in my other markers I'd have some lighter shades, which I don't have in the Bic Mark-Its. And that's blending pretty well. And then if I wanted to go over and make it a little bit darker in the center, I could just kind of layer over a little bit more marker there and just kind of let it either fade out because it's probably wet enough there, or I could even blend it a little bit more with this medium color. And that works alright if you work quick enough. If you're working a little bit slower, one way I've found to help you blend with the Bics is to actually kind of prime the whole area first with your lightest color. And this just kind of keeps the area wet and keeps the marker blendable. And then I would go in with my darker. And then I would go over again with that medium color. I'm just using 2 colors here. Now, if I decided, now that blends a lot better. It's because, I think it's because these markers are so dark, they have so much pigment, but they don't have as much solvent, like the alcohol that's in there that dilutes everything. Whereas if you're buying a very light Copic or Promarker, you have, you know, a lot more solvent in those lighter colors. So I think that's why. Now, if you decide you want to get a shade lighter with like a, you know, a Promarker, these are like $2.75 full price. If you go to your art supply store and you buy a clear Promarker, you can go in there and go over that lighter area and lighten it right up. And look at that. See, side by side, you can see how much I lightened up that petal as opposed to that petal. Now again, put it in full screen mode if you want to zoom in and see it a little bit better. Now for the leaves, I'm going to use 3 colors. But again, I'm going to share that technique with you about using the cheaper markers. Prime it first with your light color. So I'm going to go ahead and color this. Let me just turn it right side. A lot of times I turn my work as I'm working just to kind of get in at the right angle. So now I've put in some, I've made the area wet, so my ink's going to want to blend. So then in with my darkest color. Then over it, coloring right over all that dark area and halfway between the dark area and the light area with my medium. And then I'm just going to go in with my lightest color and get rid of that edge. I'm just going to keep going over it until the edge starts to fade away. I want my shadow a little bit darker, so while that's still nice and wet, I'm going to go in there with my darkest and blend it out. And I can keep it like that for definition, or I can go over it with my medium value and just soften it a little bit. So it might take a little more work to blend with your Bics and Sharpies, but you can see that you can get the same effect as you would with your Promarkers. Now there is the finished piece there. I didn't even go in and add any blender in that one because I thought that would just lighten it up too much. So I'll go over that one more time. I'm using my darkest purple here. Actually, no, let's do the priming method where we just kind of, we can do all these petals at once. We're just going to prime them because I'm working quick. If you're a little bit slower, you might want to do one petal at a time. The nice thing about the Bic Mark-Its, they'll last with their cap off for 2 weeks. So, you know, if I just want to leave it open like that, I can do that. If I decide I want it darker in the middle, I can go right in and add a little bit more dark. And then if I decide I want it a little lighter on the edges, I can use a clear, either Promarker, Prismacolor, Copic, whatever your local art store carries. I know AC Moore carries the Prismacolors. I'm not sure about Joann's, but you know, chances are your store is going to have something. And you can just go in and color over and lighten it right up. Also, if you get a boo-boo outside of the lines, sometimes you can go in there and kind of push the ink back where it belongs. Now on the daffodils, we're going to do it the same way. And I'm going to use these 2 greens for the leaves, nothing fancy there, and I'm just going to use these 2 yellows. So here we got 4 markers we're going to use for this. I'll set this one right there just so you can see. And this can be done so quickly, just kind of go in and color the whole thing your lightest color. I'm working quickly because I want this area to remain wet. So when I go in with my other color, it's just naturally going to want to give me a soft edge and blend. And then after that, I would do my normal dark to light, but since these are yellow, I'm just putting in this summer melon color here. And then go back over to blend and soften up those edges. And sometimes I'll let it dry and then I'll go in and add some more, my darker shade again, just to add some more dark to it. Now if I want some more softer, lighter highlights, I will go in with my Promarker and just lighten it up around the edges. It's very subtle, but it does add quite a bit. So if you can, you know, swing it, you know, $2.75, get yourself a clear blender, that is really awesome. Now these little blades of grass are so small, I don't even need to prime them. I can just go ahead and add my darker green. I feel like I'm just stuttering today. My goodness, my apologies. My apologies. I have like kids are bowling or something upstairs. It's very distracting. You could probably hear the what sounds like a herd of elephants up there. But you know, that's all I need to do for the stems. Now I want to show you how much ink I'm putting in. Let me just flip over these. If you're looking at the back, this is saturated. This is sinking right through my paper because I'm putting that much ink on there. So don't be stingy with your ink. So there you go, using Bic Mark-Its, using Sharpies. You can really get a lot done with them. You don't have to go out and buy the expensive markers. I would invest in a few really, really, really pale shades of your alcohol markers because that way you can get a lot more out of your, you know, cheap Bics and Sharpies. But that's really all there is to it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment and I'd be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.